New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello, hello, hello. It's time to rock the love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil. And we are here with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Excited to have some fun, to share some insights into relationship, and to speak with a special guest.
That we are. We have our special guest coming up later in the hour. And we're going to talk about rockin' the radical self-care. Yeah, right?
Something like that. I wrote it down myself.
Yeah, well, I think it's hard to remember exactly because it's
rockin' the radical self-care. Yeah.
Because it's hard to do.
Yeah.
At least for me.
It's a little foreign in the concept.
Self-care is not my forte, but I can tell you how to do it. I know exactly how to tell you how to do it and my clients. But
we have someone here who has insight into helping all of us be able to do it.
And she'll be able to check us too. Okay. Anyway, so here we are, June 25th.
Of 25.
Of 25. Ooh, 25. Wasn't that a song? In the year
25.
Something like that. Yeah.
Ooh,
I mean,
scary.
we're not in that year, but still the numbers match up. Anyway, yeah, it's the middle of the year though. I mean, it's 6 months till Christmas.
What? What is that? 180 shopping days? Or what is exactly?
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Well, I already have one gift. I'm on.
This is just your warning that again that you have 6 months now to shop for your producer.
Well, thank you so much.
Michael, I thought you were going to say to shop for your wife.
No,
you know, Michael, happy wife, happy agent,
happy. What? Okay, listen. You guys are the relationship experts. I don't question anything that Robyn says. Now, Gil, maybe. All right.
I try to teach him, but what you know.
Okay, I know. Okay.
Anyway,
great show. All right, bye.
Bye. Yeah, but you know, let me just say something about that because, yeah, 180 days. And what if it wasn't a chore? What if we didn't go, oh God, 180 days till, and shopping days? What if like you go, wow, it's coming. And what if I really think about what might be nice, what might be meaningful, what might be helpful to somebody?
Or what might be fun to give.
Or what might be fun to give. Or what might be fun to receive, because it's equally as challenging when you really want to give somebody something and you keep asking what they want. They're like, I don't know, anything. It doesn't matter. I don't know.
And why do you say that?
Because I'm always tasked with people going, what does Gil want? I can't find out. So I think as an exercise, it would be good if we all like learn to answer questions with more than just, I don't know.
I'm going to try just telling everybody I want a new electric car. See how that works. What do you think?
Okay. Well, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. All right. And our guest is chomping at the bit, clearly. because she's out there in the comments.
Saying, hey.
Hey. All right. So let's get through stuff so we can bring her on out. And and if you have any comments you want to tell us, Shay, about Christmas. Yeah, I love Christmas in July. I actually used to do that with my friends because it was fun and there wasn't the pressure of everybody, having to shop for everybody or whatever, but you could really do something meaningful. So, this is only, we get to create it. There are no rules. At least this is what I'm living by. There are no rules. We get to create how we want to celebrate, when we want to celebrate, all those things. So I just invite you to not get stuck in the, oh no, the Eeyore syndrome. Christmas is coming. I don't like it. La, 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 la.
Woo! Okay.
All right, so moving on. What a week it's been in Albuquerque. Can you say hot? Oh, Lord. I mean, hot in the day is one thing, but 82, 84 at night?
That's hot.
And that's not the night. There are some defining factors about day and night. 84 degrees is ridiculous. I don't like it. Just saying. However,
yesterday we had rain.
We had rain, and I liked it.
And a fair amount of it. And the temperature dropped below 80 degrees in the daytime.
It did. It was a cool 70 something. But it was really nice to have that rain. It doesn't feel like a tropical rain because it's not humid.
No, it's not humid. That's very interesting. You're right.
But it was just nice, and there was a breeze and things like that. I don't mind hot. I need some balance. I need some variation. So let us know how hot it is where you are or what's going on, because gosh, as we know, it could be snowing. This weather everywhere is a little unpredictable.
Is that why you tell me to cool it down? You don't like hot all the time?
Uh-huh. That's why, honey. Because you're too hot for me. You're a hottie. Anyway, enough about us. So other than that, it was a good week. I don't know. We Robert, our godson, came home yesterday. So we've had a few weeks without him and lots of guests and just a different kind of spaciousness to do different things, which has been really nice and different and sometimes productive. And yeah, 90 degrees in Ohio. Mm-mm. And humid, right? Ohio's humid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, it's been a good week. It's been interesting. It's been terrifying in the geopolitical world. We just have to keep knowing that it's more than what we see. What we see is only what we see. It's not the truth of what is. That's my humble opinion. That's the only way I can hold it.
Yes, and what I would add to that for me is just continue in a prayerful state. And I don't mean like a denying state, because what's happening is happening, but in a prayerful state that there is more than this, and that this, holding it in the next steps, hopefully, are the highest and the best. For
holding
everybody.
it in its potential. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can, I know everybody can't do this, and I'm not saying I can all the time, but if you can, just send love everywhere from where you are to Washington, D.C., to Gaza, to Israel, to Iran, to Russia, to, there's
Ukraine.
There's so many places that we can't even name them all. We just hear about the ones we hear about. So sending love, and prayers. And of course, also to the United States. Okay. I'm ready for good news.
Are you?
I am.
Okay.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
I'm ready for good news. So how about this? I remember, watching those shows on TV about the tomb raiders, the people that were finding the ancient tombs in Egypt and stuff, and about how there were the rumors of some kind of curse on them, people would die. Well, part of what happened to some of the people exploring those and excavating was that they disturbed a bunch of fungus, which actually turned out to kill them because it's deadly fungus. The good news is that that same fungus has now been isolated and utilized to kill leukemia cells.
Wow.
So we're talking about a cure for leukemia from a fungus grown in ancient tombs. Isn't that wild?
It is wild. It is wild. And, you know, it makes sense. I mean, but it's crazy.
Well, you know, one of the biggest breakthroughs in medicine was penicillin, which again came from a fungi. So, you know, this is not new news in terms of this being possible, but finding particular things that work, and they work on specific types of things we're trying to combat is just quite amazing to me.
Right.
That this could support people in their body's healing, because if we can take care of one thing that the body then doesn't have to fight in the same way, it offers the body the chance to recuperate in a new way. So how exciting is that?
Very exciting. Very
That's
productive.
my good news. I mean, there's more. I could give you other good news, but I figured, you know, one's enough for today.
One's enough for today.
Okay.
Well, my good news, I wanted it to be kind of in alignment with our guests. So in terms of radical self-care, I've had a story about a doctor who I believe would agree with her very much, whose name is they call him Dr. Z because his last name is very hard to pronounce, something like Zoll Coffee. And he's from Baltimore. And he spent the last 4 decades treating patients with or without money, with or without insurance. He would say, you know, come see me and bring your grandmother with you, you know, and just if they needed help, if they needed care, he would see them no matter what their financial state is. And which.
Yeah, that right there.
That right there, we could end the story. But the good news in this is, or the reciprocal kind of good news, is that he has been diagnosed with cancer, and didn't have the funds for his treatment. And all of the patients that he'd had banded together with a GoFundMe that's still up. And the last time I looked, it was at close to $200,000 or something like that to support him. So I just think that it just speaks to gratitude. It speaks to, you know, when you're doing your passion and your work is your passion, and just taking care of one another, which it's such a time to do that.
It speaks to the whole idea that there really isn't giving and receiving. There is giving, which is receiving, which is giving, which is receiving. You know, it's all one thing happening all the time. And his willingness to participate in that in such a profound way shows up in his life in other ways, you know.
Yeah, and it's just a lesson, you know. It's just a lesson in remembering, you know, something, because sometimes I think even just the little things we have to give, you know, it may not be a service like he was doing, but just the little things we have to give, and we hold it back because for whatever reason.
Well, I'm thinking about just the story we had a while ago about the guy that would go around and offer to mow people's lawns.
Oh yeah,
you know. And he just did it because he wanted to, and didn't ask for remuneration. And in fact, we get in trouble sometimes with the city and stuff because they were wanting these people to pay them to come in and do this, you know, clean up this horrible blight. When he just came and said, "Hey, look, let me help you out." you know. So
yeah, so those are beautiful stories.
Standing in your truth, it's quite wonderful.
And doing your passion. So, speaking of passion, we have a very passionate guest coming up. You don't want to miss it. I think any of us out there could open up to a little bit more radical self-care, especially in these times, again, where we're all trying to do a lot of things and manage a lot of feelings and things and just the energetics of what goes on in the world. So Shay's going to join us. Shay, and she's going to talk to us more about that and let you know all the fabulous things she's doing from her place of passion and how you can participate with her as well.
So this is the fabulous Shay Davis, who is almost always a guest on our show because she's always there listening and chiming in and saying hello. But she's an official guest today, where we can really have a direct chat, and we're excited to have her here. So thank you so much for hanging around.
Yeah. So when we come back, let us know you're out there. We know, we know because you talk to us afterwards and tell us, and we get notes and things from you. So let us know, participate, because it makes it so much more fun. So we'll be back. What do you think after this word from New Thought Media Network?
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Hello. I was trying on Gil's glasses. They're mighty strong and they make me feel about 80 years old. Anyway, hello and welcome back to Rockin the Love. We are rocking the laughter right now and the joy because, God, it just helps. It really helps. So it's a very exciting time. We're going to introduce our guest, who, as Gil has said, is really integral part of our show. She's not just a guest. She's here all the time, and we love that about her. So we're going to bring out Shay Davis. And Shay is much more than just a listener. She's a seasoned holistic health practitioner, a minister, and a counselor for over 31 years, and been doing mind-body healing and holistic education with a master's degree and counseling and a BA in clinical psychology. I'm tired already.
She makes me look bad.
I mean, no, breathe, check, cancel, delete, change that thought.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, because she couldn't be attracted to us if we didn't match up in some way.
That's true.
So there you go. The mirror. You can always call on the mirror. Anyway, Shay specializes in discovering and resolving the root causes of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual dis-ease using an eclectic and intuitively guided combination of ancient wisdom and modern technology. And there's so much more that we will talk about because she includes all different modalities and she's just got all kinds of things going on. So let's just get to it and we'll explore them as we talk. Hi, Shay.
Hi. I love to giggle with you guys. I'm always laughing. I'm always laughing watching you guys because you guys have such a cute relationship.
Oh, thank you. It's not always cute, but
I know, I've seen it.
but it's real. It's real. And that's really important, is that it doesn't always have to be one thing, and that's what makes the real times good, is that we can go back to the laughter and the joy and all of that. So where do we begin with you? Like, you're doing so many things. I know you're focused on certain things right now. So tell us a little bit about why you're here and what you want to share with us.
Well, I mean, I'm focused on self-care. Like it just has to happen. Like I've been through, I'll just say it, I've been through hell and I am working through it all. And so I have had to do self-care. Self-care is not a luxury for me. It's not something that I do because I'm wanting to take a bubble bath or take a hike just for fun. It's something that I have had to do for survival and to heal through trauma and to, be able to be a beneficial presence on the planet for others. So that's why I'm here today. Radical self-care and radical self-love. Learning to love oneself does not just happen. It is a choice. It is a decision. And I have made that decision. And here I am.
Wow.
I think that's really important. I think that's key because I think that we don't learn that. We think, we grow up and our parents teach us to do all these things and what we're supposed to do and take care of yourself. And, you could take a bubble bath and that's like some luxury and blah, blah, blah. But we don't really learn that at some point we're going to have the option not to do all those things and how important they really were. You know what I mean? Like as we adult, it's like, we start to cut things out like, I don't really need to do this. I don't have time. I really got to get this work done. Where the thing is, that, those play dates we used to go on or whatever it was is a vital time to kind of up your game to self-care as you grow. And there's a whole other level to that of like, if one does not participate in self-care, you will be going to see the Dr. Z that was in your good news segment. Right.
It's not something to be put off until your body tells you you're in trouble. Like, if you want to have a good life and to live your best life, speaking from experience, not to let yourself go, because then you only have energy just for surviving and hanging on by your fingernails. And this is what I have been in a loop of for quite some time. So now I have had to do what I've had to do to jump out of that. And so just as like, not everyone's been through the trials that I have been in, but even if you're a healthy person, that is never to be taken for granted, like never, ever to be taken for granted. So things, just very basic things about food and water and shelter and clothing, just your basic needs being met and then moving up from there.
So what makes self-care radical?
That was my question. I was just thinking.
Oh, okay. Very good. Well, because it is a choice. And for me, it's radical because I've had to do some very radical things to preserve my life, basically. So the more radical things I'm talking about are having some pretty extreme boundaries. Like, I am estranged from my family. I do not talk to my family. I'm very, very low contact with them. And so it's radical that one would have to say, I am not going to be engaged with my family anymore because it's dangerous to my health. And so that is very radical. Another thing that's very radical is choosing to have zero substances in my life. That is what another radical choice that I have made. So 5 years ago, I let go of all big pharma. I have chronic pain from the trauma that I have experienced, and I was put on every medication known to man, and they did more damage than they did good. So another thing that's very radical is zero substances. So no booze, no big pharma, no recreational drugs are like completely out of the question, you know. And so, you know, some of these more radical things, that's what I mean by radical self-care. It's not a bubble bath. It's like, I have to do this to keep myself going. And the most radical thing that you can do for self-care is to tend your relationship with God. And that is what I do the most radically, is I do my spiritual practices, and I put me and my relationship with God at the very forefront of everything that I do, so that I can even come on a show like this and even try to be a beneficial presence on the planet and to give back to you guys, because you give so much to me, and to give back to New Thought Media Networks. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't have the energy for anything like this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just want to welcome Jane. Hi, Jane. Good to see you. She says self-care is self-love and creates a flow to love others unconditionally, if that is one of your intentions.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I in part when I asked the question, I was thinking about, why have we as a people, as a society, decided at some level that self-care is radical?
I think the better question is, why have we decided it's not radical? You know, why is it not radical? It's not radical because it's subconscious. It's to not care for oneself is not a decision that we make. It is something that is subconscious. We didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm not going to have a good diet today because I don't care about myself. This stuff has been conditioned into us by society, by our parents, by, especially if you had shitty parents like me, sorry for the language, but that's true. And it's been conditioned. So, you know, like I said, it is a choice to do radical self-care, and to not do it is an unconscious decision. It's something that we're not aware of. I wasn't aware when I was being treated badly. I just thought that that's how life was. So it's something that I had to learn, that like, this is not normal. This is not okay. This is not good. So I hope that answers your question. I'd be willing to expound on that if you'd like.
Well, I think, so then is it safe to say that radical self-care involves radical relearning or learning?
Yeah, deconditioning. So that's a lot of what I do in my work as a holistic healthcare practitioner, is I decondition and then I recondition. So it's taking out and bringing up and bringing conscious the reasons why we don't take care of ourselves and the reasons why we don't love ourselves. And then clearing those out with whatever million techniques that I use that I've learned over the past 31 years in being in this field. And then reconditioning in with what is the truth. And the very, very truth of it all is that I am a divine child of God, in whom she is well pleased, and that I deserve the very best that love and life have to offer. So, you know, whatever those truths are, then we program those in using the body's meridian systems and other energetic processes that, you know, it's reconditioning. It's Pavlov's dog. It's Pavlov's dog. It is definitely classical conditioning. And that's what I'm doing in my work. And also being, of course, you know, very loving and supportive and empathetic, and using my empathic skills. A million things are happening in those sessions, but it is deconditioning and reconditioning.
So what I'm hearing is, at some level, we have to recondition ourselves that this activity, just like other activities have been in the past, becomes the habit, becomes the thing that we do. And so at some level, what we might have once thought was radical becomes built into our system because that's what we need to do. It's true.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't afford not to.
Yeah,
Because-
that is exactly true. And habits take a minute. You know, I didn't just arrive today and say, you know, here I am, an expert on this subject. This has been, you know, many decades in the making. And yes, it's definitely a choice. And, you know, I think there's a signal, like if you're feeling out of sorts, if you're feeling like your self-esteem is down and all that kind of stuff, like that's a signal from your subconscious mind saying like, I need some love and attention. And then we go in and do the work. And self-love did not come easily for me because I was programmed to believe that I wasn't good enough. And it's taken years and years, and I still work on it. Just this morning, even I'm still working on it. Like, it's not like I'm done now. So then I could be the expert on it. And this is what I help clients do as well, is that radical acceptance comes right in here too. Radically accepting that there is no perfection in the personality, you know, that the perfection is in the divinity in us all. And so, yeah, it's a very complicated subject, but the simplicity of it is love. And when you don't have it, it's very hard to get it. And it's been a long journey.
Yeah, it's very complicated and yet not on some level, you know, and that, yeah, that's the thing, that it's like sometimes we have to do so much work to get back to the basics.
Mm-hmm.
So is there something that you could share that perhaps is a good exercise for people to see where they're at, or what they need to learn, or how to go about taking those first steps towards self-care?
Go within. I mean, it's always about going within. And if you can't go within, if you have a hard time going within, that would be your first clue that something needs to happen. Does that answer your question? I can expound on that, but it has to be going within and, you know, turning towards God.
Yeah, and I think
we have to check in with yourself, and we live so much up in our heads, and we're always doing. And if there's no quiet, then that in and of itself is a signal that you're running on fumes, or that you're suppressing, repressing, denying. I mean, if you're not upset right now, there's something seriously wrong with you. Like if your heart isn't going, then, you know, that's a sign that you're pushing some stuff down that really wants to be loved and have some attention given to it.
right.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. But I just want to open it up a little bigger, just for anyone out there. I mean, I know a good majority of our people listening have spiritual practices and meditate and journal and do all those things. And for someone who doesn't, because what was coming up for me when you were saying that is, I just liken it to those times when you go to do something, but it doesn't feel right in you, and you know, you're like, I don't think I should do this, or you just have that feeling, you know. So it's really about getting still and listening to that voice that is guiding you. And, you know, if you can meditate, or if it comes to you while you're taking a walk or out in nature, or however, I think what Shay is saying is really be in that stillness and be willing to listen. You know, be willing to hear. You know, sometimes what we might go, I'm just making that up. Probably not. You know, there's a voice, and you have an inner compass that guides you. You know, do you listen to it or use it? So really finding your method of getting that answer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about intuition, or that divine intelligence spark of intelligence that is always working in, through, and as us. But it's about being aware of whether that is occurring or not. And again, that also comes down to a choice of exercising that muscle, because it is a muscle. Now, I've been using the muscle for a very, very long time, so I'm very good at it, and I can read people. I can tell what's going on with them just by sitting with them. But it's like, in order to do that for others, I've had to do it for myself and really get in touch with me and what it is that I need. And that intuition, that little voice, it's like God whispering in your ear, and God will whisper in your ear. And if you don't hear the little message, then God will start yelling in your ear. And if you don't hear that message, then God will give you the 2x4. And I got a few 2x4s, people, because I was so unconscious. Like I like make myself like I'm the spiritual being, and I am the spiritual being, but I also had so much repression and denial going on that unconsciousness kept me from the safety, which is what intuition is about safety, that tells you where to go, what to do. It's like that. There's this old saying, if this had been a real life, you would have been told where to go and what to do. Well, we are told where to go and what to do. But if we're, smashing it with a bunch of watching media or scrolling or smoking the weed or, medicating ourselves with Xanax or any of these horrible big pharma drugs because we have depression or anxiety, that depression and anxiety, that is there for a reason. Like that is, if you have that, let's go. That is your signal right there. That is it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it can be, and can be your motivating factor to move.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, also another thing that can be really motivating are your emotions. Anybody out there feeling their emotions? Your emotions are your compass. And yes, so if you are angry or you are sad or those are your signals from your perfect divine system that is intelligently designed. That is your feedback loop to tell you XYZ. And so we don't know what the message is. And that's kind of why I am who I am, is because I can help you interpret these messages of like, why am I so angry? Your anger, you listen to, if you're angry or fearful, if you're scared, I tell you, please pay attention to that fear. It's your reptilian brain telling you you're in danger. So let's listen up, people, because it's very difficult. We've also been conditioned to not pay attention to our emotions. It's like, this needs to be taught in school. I wish someone had taught me without me going and getting a $100,000, $150,000 education. We need to know these things.
I mean, you're making such a good point. And I think that, a lot of times we know that we know certain things, and other things we don't know. We make up our own reasons why we don't have to listen or why we don't have to do it. And as you were talking, what was coming to me was that on Sunday at Gil Center, there were like two people that were went to read something, and they were like, "Sorry, excuse me, I just get really emotional." And it wasn't about anything. It wasn't particularly emotional, but what I felt in that moment was that just the emotions. I mean, there's so much going on in the world, that our emotions are sometimes places we don't even know they are, and how that shows up and how that, and it was just obvious that it was an emotional day. Then I got up to speak about something and I got emotional. I was like, I wasn't emotional about this. I was angry about this. Why am I like all choked up now? And so it's just interesting to see how that can shift and change.
Well, everything in our lives in theory is speaking to us somehow. And we have been well taught to suppress and repress and ignore, and plow through, and deny. All those words, and there's a difference between acknowledging our emotions and allowing our emotions to run the show. At some level, when we don't acknowledge them, they begin to run the show because because we're trying to pretend they're not there, but they are.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can go, okay, well, I guess I really am depressed. I guess I really am whatever. What's going on there? Then I can begin to go somewhere with it. What's it telling me? What am I learning? What am I? And it becomes helpful. So, you know, I mean, I know in spirituality we're taught to not get taken in by our emotions, not get, you know, various things like that. But I think that's got to do with the idea of allowing them to run our show. It doesn't mean you don't acknowledge they exist and you don't work through them. It means you don't ignore them and let them manifest somewhere in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, maybe I could take a beat from you here, Gil, about not letting them run the show, because sometimes it can be overwhelming, right? And they do. I mean, they can't. For me, just in all transparency, will definitely can get the better of me, and I have to reel myself in, right? And that's why I'm so grateful that I know all of these things that I have learned over the years. Because, you know, that's another reason why we'll talk about this later too. I'm doing these mentorship programs because I'm telling you, if I didn't know how to do everything that I know how to do because of my education and working with clients for so long, I just don't even know if I'd be sitting here talking to you guys right now. Because if I had to pay somebody like me $200 an hour, or, you know, whatever it is, I mean, when I go see my lady, when I go see Chris Ferrero, who's a wonderful energy practitioner, she does a lot of what I do. It's if I had to do that every single time that I needed somebody, I would not have been able to do it. So luckily for me, I have all these techniques, I have the technology, and I do it for myself. I do what I do for others for myself. And that has allowed me to like get the treatment that I need while seeing someone maybe like once a week, or even sometimes in crisis twice a week over a period of time, and then take care of myself in between. That is radical self-care right there, when you have to do it yourself. So like, you know, again, is where I'm attempting and intending is the word, to teach other people how to use some of these techniques on their own, so they don't have to call somebody like me when they're in a hard spot.
I think that's great. And I think, you know, because I think so much of the time, you know, we're saying it like, oh, just move to this step. But you've got to get out of the denial and whatever else is going on to get to that step. I mean, it's not just the, oh, you know, and you're all of a sudden.
I wish.
Yeah. So, so let's talk a little bit about your mentorship program and your retreats and getaways and all those things. How do those work, and what kind of things do you do in them?
Yeah, so because of, you know, my experience, I have started to develop programs, and also because that's the calling. You know, I'm listening to the calling. God says, I do visioning, you know, very, very frequently. And when God says, you know, this is the highest vision for your life, I'm like, I might kind of roll my eyes and be like, oh, really? And then, and then I'm like, okay, like, is it really? And so one of them was, you are to teach, like I am to teach. And so I'm fulfilling that right now as I'm on your show. And that's one of the reasons I got involved in New Thought Media Network, because there was this, you know, you are to teach. And so I'm like, well, okay, like, how does that even happen? And these things came along. I'm like, that's not quite it. And that, like, having my own show, like, that wasn't quite it, and la, la, la. And this came where it was kind of like, when the teacher is ready, the student will appear, is kind of what happened with me. You know, the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Right. Well, it happened kind of the opposite for me. A lady approached me and she was like, you know, I would like to learn how to do what you do, and I would like to be your mentee. And I'm like, oh, there it is. Like God just went, there it is. There's how you teach. And so, yeah, so I've developed all these different mentoring programs based on what I have been able to accomplish in my own healing. So I recently, from last year till right now, I lost over 30 pounds. So, and I do a lot of nutrition stuff in my work. So I have a weight loss one. I have a self-care one. I have a self-care one. I have a chronic pain one. I have a relationship one. I have couples retreats. So any of the mentorships can also be mini retreats. And so the mentorship programs are longer. And I don't have space for very many because they're very intense for both me and the mentee. And so I just make it very, very small availability because I want to be able to bring my very, very best. And so it's basically whatever you want. Like if you don't know anything about holistic health, then Holistic Health 101 would be your mentorship program. And I will start to teach you all of the kinds of techniques like emotional freedom techniques. So tapping, teach you how to do that. I mean, we could spend a long time just on learning to do tapping. I have neurographica art programs that I do. I do all of the body mind pain management techniques. I do meditation, I do visioning. So it's basically anything in the spiritual realm, anything in the holistic healthcare field realm, then those are the kind of programs that I have developed. And they're not rigid, they're customized for every single person. So Gil, if you wanted to come do one, it would be customized just for you. And whatever your goals are, we would co-create and build that mentorship program around what it is that you want to do. And the mini retreats are like anywhere from usually about 3 hours for a mini retreat.
That's great. So, Michael, can you put up some information for how to get in touch with Shay? Silver Rain is asking.
It's Shay Bird on Facebook. Shay Bird. It's not Shay Davis. Shay Bird is my little handle on Facebook. And maybe someday I'll actually change my name to Shay Bird. I don't know, but
So welcome, Silver.
I love Rev Melissa. Melissa Noble. She calls me Shay Love, and she calls me Shay Love. But anyway,
That's cute. That's great.
So Silverine is just saying she'd love to get in touch with you and she would love your support. So I'm sure you'll be hearing from them soon.
Yes, please just get in touch with me. I would be happy to I do like a little interest. It's invitation only. If you want to work with me, I don't work with just anyone. You really, if you're going to work with me, it's about commitment to yourself and commitment to the process. And I'll just tell you right now, the process is not easy peasy. It's not like all fun and games. We have a lot of fun. It's kind of like, this conversation has been pretty serious, but like I have a lot of fun with my clients. And so there is an interview process of where I see if it's a good fit. And it's about me. It's about self-care. It has to be about me first. It has to be about my safety, my comfort, my realm of expertise before I agree to work with someone. So there is a process to that. And sometimes it's out of my realm of being able to help. You might need, if someone has a serious mental health condition, then that might need to be addressed by a different professional. So anyway, staying in my lane is self-care. Doing what I know that I can do and not overstepping and making sure I'm taking care of myself in the process. That's the only way I can do this work is to be able to, me first, then others. Right. God first, as me, right?
But yeah, you can't take on someone or some issue because someone else thinks you ought to.
Exactly.
You have to know in your heart that this is where you're called to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to invite us. I know Shay said it's not easy. Mm-hmm. And I want to put out there, when you're ready, it may be more challenging than you expect it to be. But, I just want to encourage people to claim that, yeah, it could be easy and effortless and joyous because you're really moving into your true identity. You're really saying yes to you. And when you say yes, and believe me, as I heard Shay allude to when she gets a vision or a sign from spirit, I sometimes am kicking and screaming with God. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not doing that. Why would I do that? And I have full on arguments with God. And then I go, okay. And I do it, but it doesn't have to be that way all the time, So I'm just encouraging you to, if you're if you can.
Surrender, Robyn, right?
That's it. Surrender, and it's a gift to yourself. I mean, it's such a gift to move into that place and to have support. You know, that's what Shay does. That's what we do. That's what practitioners do, ministers do. We're there for that support, to hold that space for you to open up to your highest and best. You know, so make it fun, make it enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a lot of fun. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. There's no way I would do it, or probably could do it. It is a lot of fun, and I am honored. Like, it is my good pleasure to be part of people's process, and having gone through it myself, I can, really be present with people's process and the reward. Oh my gosh, can I just talk about the reward of feeling genuine love for oneself? Like, oh my gosh, like just actually feeling love and respect for oneself, so much so that you can say no to XYZ with like maybe a twinge of guilt once in a while, but it's not like, oh my God, I have to do this and I have to do, like, it's so much more about beingness and being that so close to God, so close to spirit. The reward is, I don't have words to describe what the reward is for doing the hard work. And there's no spiritual bypassing around here either. I will not sit there and tell you that everything is working together for your good when you feel like not good.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of the work that you do, and the work that we do, and the work that, practitioners are doing in the world, ministers, that the reward is in your reward. Watching people move to that space and really being able to look back and remember, oh my God, I would have felt guilty for this, but I knew that this, and making new choices. And I'm not going to lie. I won't speak for everybody. I'm not going to lie. There is never a time for me where I do a session or see a client that I don't get something back, that I don't learn, and so it's such a blessing. So you're not going to believe this, but our time is up.
I do believe it. And I would just want to say it is a reciprocal relationship. It is a very reciprocal relationship. And I work my butt off for my people. I love my people. I love being of service. It's what I'm called to do. So here I am. And thank you so much for having me on and allowing me to fulfill my calling and to give back to you guys. Thank you so much for everything that you all do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're so glad you've been here.
And we hope you'll come back again.
And I'm thinking that on your t-shirt is your logo thing.
Yeah, it is. This is my t-shirt.
Wow, look at you. You're all fancy t-shirts and everything.
Oh yeah, I have t-shirts for all my things. I'm also doing Tiny Castle Homes too, which is the intentional community that I have been working on for many, many years, and it's going. I mean, it's a little bit on the back burner, but yeah, I have t-shirts for all of my little things.
All right, so Shay, if you want to throw your email in the chat for Sylvia Rain, if just in case they can't get on Facebook or whatever that is.
Sure, I sure will.
Again, if you want to contact Shay, you can find her on Facebook under Shay Bird and find out about all the things she's doing, because we've only touched on a couple. And and this is what Rockin the Love is about, people. It's about rocking the love in all the areas that you're passionate about and making a difference in people's lives. So we're just grateful to you, Shay, for saying yes to your calling. And we're grateful to our producer, Michael Mangus, for saying yes, even when he really wants to say no. And we're grateful to New Thought Media for holding the vision. And I'm grateful to you for continuing to show up even when you don't want to.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful too. Ditto to all of that. I love you guys so much. Namaste.
Okay. We love you. Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much for speaking up. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good to see you. And we are going to rock the love next week. So we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.